Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me for another beer review. Hope you're all well. Beautiful day outside, as you can tell from the curtains, and we are back with another one. It's another one from the supermarkets, one that was picked up from Morrison's. I am 99.9% certain, but I think you can pick it up in a lot of places. Part of a 4 for $7 as well, so it's coming in at about £1.75. That's pretty good. I think normally £2 or £2.10. Let me have a quick nosy. Got my receipt here. Yeah, UBU, pure UBU, £2.50. So it's coming at £1.75. And I haven't even told you what the beer is yet. I know you've probably read the thumbnail, but the beer we are looking at is from Purity Brewing out of Warwickshire, and we are taking a look at their pure UBU, which they like to call an amber ale. Now, is that a bitter? I would say so. 4.5%, 500ml bottle. Like I said, should be £2.50 on its own, part of a 4 for $7. So 75p off that, which is, you know, a nice little saving. Picked up from Morrison's. There's the typical Purity sort of label, and there is the Purity crown there. Now, I don't have a Purity glass, but we are going to whack it in something traditional that looks a little bit dusty on the outside. Will be all right on the inside, because I always store my glasses upside down, so no dust should get in there. But we are whacking it in there. It's been in the fridge. It is chilled, but I wouldn't say it's massively cold. Like I say, it's a warm day. I'm not exactly sure it's going to do the beer any harm. So let's get it cracked open and see what we get. Shall I have a quick look on the back? I can't be asked to try and read that. I really can't. Do feel a little bit tired today, so trying to focus on that is a bit too much hard work. So let's get it into a glass and see what we get. Amber ale is generally a bitter. This is looking nice. I'm liking the colour of this. I'm liking the head we're getting as well. There is a minute bit in the bottom of the bottle, but I'm going to leave a gap there. Just so I can swill it around. So beer in a glass, yeah. For me, that looks like an old school bitter. It's got that typical sort of dark chestnut, maybe a mahogany sort of look about it. There is gentle bubbles going up, very little. It's not a nucleated glass, so you are just getting the odd bubble going up. The head is lovely. It's a lovely, compact, creamy, just slightly off-white head. Looks decent. So let's dive in with the nose and see what we get. Okay. It smells more of a sweeter number. If anything, it reminds me a little bit of something like Station Bitter from Stonehouse, which that's more of a malt forward sort of bitter, if you like, rather than hops. I've got to admit, I prefer the hoppy side of things. Yeah, there's a little hop note behind it. It's slightly malty. Well, it is malty. Slightly sweet. Yeah, it smells all right. There's nothing in there sort of wowing me with aromas. But it smells like a simple, traditional sort of bitter, if you like. So let's dive in on Purity's Pure UBU Amber Ale, 4.5%. Cheers. Ooh, interesting, yeah. It's funny actually, because they class amber ales as bitters, and they may well be. But sometimes there feels like there is a difference in the style, and I think it's just not necessarily a difference in the style, it's a different sort of interpretation of that bitter, if you like. This feels a little bit like a couple of the Welsh ones I had when I went to Carnarvon. This isn't your typical bitter. It sort of has the darker notes of a typical bitter, but we'll move on to that afterwards. Let's get on. I'm getting carried away here. Let's get on with my usual stuff that I do. 4.5 I think the body is very typical of this sort of style of beer, if you like. It's nice and smooth. The carbonation is low. Gives it a great drinkability because you're not being filled up with gas. It's very sort of old school. It's got to be said. Hops are coming to the forefront now. The more you drink of it, the hops are more at the front. You still get that maltiness, but what you get is maybe a slightly different sort of hoppiness. Maybe different hops used in this, or certainly different quantities to bring out something, pardon me, slightly different. Malty, a little bit sweet, maybe a little caramel note. The hops feel different. They don't feel like hedgerow hop sort of feel to it like you get with most sort of bitters. They have maybe a little bit of a craft feel. Now I haven't looked at the hops in this, so I don't know if there is anything particularly different. But in a sense it feels more like, if you're like an amber ale rather than a bitter, if that makes any sense. It's nice enough. It's not a wower for me. There's nothing particularly sort of craft in there that makes it sort of stand out, and there's nothing necessarily massively. It is traditional, but it has that different feel to it. It like I said, it feels more, if you like an amber ale rather than a bitter. It does tail off to a bitterness, and there is bitterness from the hops, but it has a different feel to it. I mean, so to say it's not a bitter is maybe a little bit harsh. To say it's an amber ale, they're all sort of bitters, aren't they? They're all sort of bitters, but I just think it's a different bitter. Let's put it that way. We're 7.5 minutes in. It's a different sort of bitter. It's not the sort of bitter, personally, that I would go for. There is that sweetness in there, but nothing sort of caramel toffee like enough to sort of really sort of draw me in. And the hops, I think there's a different sort of hop taste in this. It could be the grain as well. It could be anything really that sort of makes this a little bit different. But there is nothing nasty in there. You can tell this is a proper beer. You can tell it's brewed with love. But it's just not necessarily my sort of amber ale stroke bitter, if you like. But it's nice enough. You know, it goes down. It's one of them. It depends what your taste buds are. But yeah, it's a decent enough beer. £2.50 down to £1.75 is a bargain. £2.50. Would I pay £2.50 for it? I suppose it's the going rate for a beer these days. I think, like I say, for the sort of thing I want from a beer, I'd probably find something maybe cheaper in the supermarkets that suits my palate. But again, depends what your tastes are. So Purity Brewing Co. out of Warwickshire, and their UBU Amber Ale, 4.5%. Yeah, it's an easy sort of drinker. Nothing major nasty in there. It's going to come down to your personal tastes. For me, not traditional bitter as what I would know or think. So would I recommend it? I think it's just going to come down to you taking a bit of a gamble on it, giving it a go. But there's nothing wrong with it, to be honest. It's just not to my personal taste. So there you go. There's my thoughts on this beer. If you've had it before, let me know what you think. Feel free to comment. Excuse me for burping and scratching my ear. Thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon on another one. Cheers. Ooh, itchy ear.